In this video, we're going to look at a two-sample hypothesis test with unknown sigma and assumed pooled variances. The problem reads, the Federal Bureau of Prisons publishes data in prison statistics on the time served by prisoners released from federal institutions for the first time. Independent random samples of released prisoners in the fraud and firearms offense categories yielded the following information on time served in months. At the 5% significance level, does the data provide sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean time served for fraud is less than that for firearm offenses? And they've told us that X bar 1 is equal to 10.12, S1 is equal to 4.9, X bar 2 is 18.78, and S2 is equal to 4.64. Now I'm going to write all this information that they've given us with the category. So we're going to say fraud, and I'm going to call fraud X1. So X bar 1 is 10.12, S1 is equal to 4.9, and firearms we're going to call X2, and that is X bar 2 is equal to 18.78, and S2 is equal to 4.64. We're also going to need to know the sample size for each, for fraud and for firearms. So N1 is equal to, and we can count the amount of values given to us in each category. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 samples for each. So N2 is equal to 10. And we're also going to need the significance level, which is 0.05. And then we're going to need a degree of freedom as well, because this is a t-test because we don't know sigma, we have S. So we're going to use t-distribution, and degree of freedom is going to be equal to N1 plus N2 minus 2, which is equal to 20 minus 2, or 18. And now we have all the information gathered we needed. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is create our null and alternative hypothesis. So H0 and H1. And they told us that they want us to conclude that the mean time served for fraud is less than that of the firearm offenses. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm deciding my H1. If they want us to provide sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean time served for fraud is less than that of firearms, we're going to have mu1 is less than mu2, because mu1 represented fraud, so we have a left-tailed test here. And then our H0, our null hypothesis, is mu1 is greater than or equal to mu2. And now we need to find our t-crit. And we have a one-tailed test with a significance level of 0.05 and 18 for degree of freedom. So we go to our t-table and we go to one tail and we go over to 0.05, and now we go down to 18 and we find that it's 1.734. And because we're left-tailed, we're going to say that it's negative 1.734. So t-crit is equal to negative 1.734. So we're going to reject H0 if t-calc is less than negative 1.734. And we said at the beginning that we're assuming equal variances. So we're going to need our SP squared before we can find our t-calc. So SP squared is equal to N1 minus 1 times S1 squared plus N2 minus 1 times S2 squared, all divided by N1 plus N2 minus 2. And this is equal to, N1 was 10, so we have 10 minus 1 times S1, which was 4.9, so we have 4.9 squared, plus N2 was 10, 10 minus 1 again, times S2 squared, which was 4.64 squared, all divided by N1 plus N2 minus 2. And when we calculate this, we get 22.77. And now in order to find our T-calc, we're going to have T-calc is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 divided by the square root of SP squared divided by N1 plus SP squared divided by N2. And this is equal to x bar 1 was 10.12 and x bar 2 was 18.78. So we have 10.12 minus 18.78 divided by the square root of 22.77 divided by 10 plus 22.77 divided by 10. And when we calculate this, we get negative 4.058. And negative 4.058 is less than negative 1.734. So we're going to reject H naught. And now we need to write a conclusion. And our conclusion is, at the 5% level of significance, our data provides sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean time served for fraud is less than that served for the firearm offenses. And that's our video on a two-sample hypothesis test with an unknown sigma and assumed variances equal, or pooled variances.